and we will begin our meeting for Friday, the 14th of February with a kia. Kia hora, kana rengo, kia whakapapa, kana mōti moana. Hei huarahi mātou tau I tēnei rā. Aroha atu, aroha mai, kātou kia tātou katoa. Taumie, kuie. And I have not received any apologies.
He's a couple of minutes away.
Oh, okay. So Duncan will be here with us very shortly. And the first thing that I would like to do is acknowledge the passing last week of Brian Turner, who was a very well-known prominent resident of Aturihua, and I understand his family and the local community had the opportunity to say their farewells to him on Wednesday at a service in Aturihua, which is of course one of his most favourite places in the world, and where he has enjoyed living for a number of years. So I'd just like us to take a moment to reflect and acknowledge that. Thank you. Apologies from me for the apologies that I missed, and that is that Councillor McPherson has entered apologies with me. He is not able to be here today as he is travelling. So happy to move that Martin's apologies be accepted. And Deputy Sarah will second that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Declarations of interest are outlined on page 6. And we just look at those recently. Any changes through to Wayne, please? And now we move to the first and only item on our agenda, which is the updated 2025 to 34 long-term plan documents for audit museums. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, go to as well. Okay, so look, I'll just go to a little bit of background because there's a number of consequences that have fallen out of this. You know, obviously we'd like to bring to your attention to it and then have a discussion about it. So, firstly, how we got here. So just a very quick backstory. So when we created the long-term plan last year, we established a new working sheet, created the lead, shared that around. At the same time, we went to the cloud, and the previous iteration of that sheet that we were working on, or the previous long-term planning annual plan process, that link was still live. So essentially what happened was we had 2 live links where information was being inputted into. We had amended the link back in September to make people aware that this is the link to be used. So essentially what happened was all the numbers came across from the previous work we were doing, established into the new link. And then as we amended the spreadsheets as we worked our way through the process, we got to where we were towards the end of last week. And fortuitously, Julian Finance made a couple of discoveries. The first one was, because we've just gone out to contract and we've just opened up the tender documents, and so we're now in the stage of negotiating new contracts for the waters, it was felt appropriate that we should reflect the new monetary value of some of those that contract into the LTP, because it's going to kick in on the 1st of July. In doing that, they realised that the numbers that were in the existing LTP didn't look quite right. So on investigating that further, it was found that actually the numbers for the water had been put into the previous spreadsheet. So there was a bit of work to be done to then carry those numbers across into what we have in front of us today. And essentially with that change, that was probably about an extra 1% in rates due to the OPEX increase. And the other 1.5% you could say was associated with the new contracts that we'll be entering into, that will commence on the 1st of July. Really, it was a process error from within us here at Council, and I absolutely take full responsibility for that. That error sits with me, and it was my responsibility to have addressed that in the appropriate time. So I certainly regret having to bring this matter before you, because obviously the timing is not ideal. If I can say something on the timing, it's that due to the diligence of the team that we actually did detect it and that we now have the numbers, the audit now have the corrected audit and budget, which they are now reviewing. So it was, in some ways, it was great that we detected it when we did detect it, because if it was to be detected at a later date, it could have been a lot worse for us, in the sense that we could have been out consulting and then realising the error. So we've been able to rectify that, and that's that. In terms of the process where we went wrong, we've addressed that. The team will close that old link, and we'll take that lesson on board. Equally, we had a discussion at Audit and Risk this morning, and Deloitte came and spoke to us about the internal controls that we'll be implementing from the 1st of July onwards, and the first year of that program is focused around our financial processes and the financial acumen of the organisation. So that's something that we will be really focused on and addressing, to make sure that our processes, the way we do our financial management, the way that the managers manage their budgets, that will be sort of independently tested, looked at, and I suspect lessons will come from that, but we'll be able to implement to make sure that we, again, continue to improve our processes in that regard. Just a couple of other things that as a result of that, BC charges had to then reflect the change in the OPEX. So you'll see that the numbers have increased. There was also a little bit of more work that had to be done on those DC charges. So you'll see the numbers that have come out now are the accurate ones. So at the top of my head, places like Ormaco are now about $49,000 for a new unit. Cromwell's probably sitting at about 34 now. So there have been changes, and so we'll take you through that as well. Equally, Saskia will talk to this, because we were a week later in getting the audit documents around the budget to the audit team, the external auditors. They were working on the other supplementary information that we have to give them, but because of the delay in getting the budget to them, it has impacted on the timeline for us to adopt the consultation document, and that's pushed that back about a week and a bit. So Saskia will talk to that in more detail. But really, that's how we've got to where we've got to. In terms of the operational model and the numbers, I, like Paul and Saskia, have the confidence in the numbers now of what they're telling us. They are accurate. The numbers were accurate, it's just numbers were in a couple of different spreadsheets. So where the cost is now was, had we been able to correct that prior to bringing that to your attention back in January, that they would have been what the numbers were saying, 14.03%. Happy to take questions. Saskia can talk to quite a bit more detail on that, but that's just a quick summary.
And maybe if I may just talk to the timelines. So at the time of writing this paper, we were hopeful. We had a regular window and proper review before the scheduled meeting on the 17th of March, with the goal of that consultation running in March. Our conversation that Paul and I had is over with New Zealand, because of the work required, not only for this, but we have the benefit now of receiving Waitaki's audit opinion. So we are working and moving through quite a process with the FOP review that took quite a long time. We're trying to avoid that. So it's not only a combination of what you see in front of us, but we're trying to avoid a delay in the back end of the work as well. So there's some key information that Paul's team is still working on that will be uploaded on Monday. So it's sort of a combination of both factors. Audit New Zealand are working with us. We are aiming as much as we can to not schedule an additional meeting, but bring the consultation document to your already scheduled 26th of March meeting. So a delay of a week and a half. This will put really pressure on the analysis and submission timeline. We did have about a week and a half at the end. So Jay, our audit manager, and I are going to meet next week and just revamp that timeline. The goal is still to adopt by the end of June. So we'll just work it through. It will be all hands on deck, especially with that analysis and all name within the diaries, the deliberation and the hearing states for Ultra. So once we've got that sorted, Wayne will communicate better. And this is one thing I'll say for questions and discussion amongst councillors. Given that we have Waitaki's CD, we have also taken the opportunity to put the consultation document in front of you again. So there was quite a rewrite for our auditors as a result of that, because it had hit through the audit. So you see that looks a little bit different from what we presented to you previously. So questions have been for myself.
Neil,
So no, meeting to adopt the consultation document on the 17th of March, is having,
Yeah.
I can take that. And then we'll probably do it on the council meeting scheduled for the 26th, so
That's,
we've lost the meeting and gained some time.
that's, fingers crossed that's going to pan out.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, cool.
any additional questions at this?
We do have.
Yes, we've got, yes, sorry, we do have Tom Lucas on the line if anybody wants to raise any questions with him about the development contributions.
I got one. Just on page 101, paragraph 94, let me find it, sorry, no, we're not. I just want to, it's not a big deal, just to clarify, but paragraph 94 refers to what we did from 2001-2 to 2033-34, and how much being proposed to incur. Paragraph 95 talks about table 10, but there's no dates on paragraph 10, and I'm sure the reference in paragraph 94 to 2001 to 33 is probably an old reference, I think. And so that means that the schedule on, the table on table 10, which has the 837,000 in it, or 837 million, sorry, does relate to 2025 to 2000.
34?
No, it'd be longer. Is it 30 years? Yes, that'll be.
It's based on time question. Stats.
So that, so when they get fixed, that table just needs that data, you look at the table and you go, where do these numbers relate to? Yeah, cool. That's the end of my diligence. I don't know why I was looking at it.
I guess from this table in terms of governance, Peter, looking for some assurance from you that the capacity within the team is there to prevent these sort of things happening in the future, recognising that this will be part of the internal, and I'm talking about numbers, because we run thin through the teams.
Look, absolutely. It's probably what didn't help was we did lose one of the key staff in the financial team in December, who was supporting the water team at that particular time. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We still haven't replaced that person, but we are in the process of recruiting. Yeah, look, absolutely. We will we'll be guided by what Deloitte's tell us. You know, when you have an organisation this size, there's probably about a finite number of people that you're doing with, and we do run lean in some parts, but we are intending to recruit an additional staff member, and that will help get the balance right. But we do also continue to utilise contracting as well to help us get through these heavy, high tempo sort of periods in our work schedules. So yeah, we'll continue to look at that, and Deloitte will tell us if we have the numbers right or wrong, but we will be recruiting.
It's it's really important for our owners to know that they've got a level of confidence in what happens in the back part of the business. That's a key part, and we don't have to look too far from last week. It's in the headline of the local paper, and what's going to necessarily be on the headline of this paper, which is understandable, but pretty disappointing, especially from our ratepayer side of things. So I guess I don't know whether the council, the rest of my fellow elected members would be whether we can actually stomach another increase for our ratepayers along these lines, because it's suddenly independent, and I fully respect that it's these numbers now are not going to be fully reflective of what actually decisions we make around that table. So they could be greater again, depending on what comes out of that consultation document from the community, what the community tells us. And I'm not sure whether there's an appetite around this table to ask the team to go back and see if there's anywhere else.
So on that, we will continue to refine the numbers, and essentially the LTP is not set until you adopt it in late June. So there'll be some things that we'll be looking at. So and of course the computation that comes back will feed into this as well. So if it's significant, we'll have to then reconfirm with the auditors and stuff like that, if things have a real material difference. But Paul and Saskia would be able to advise on that, but we will actually have to continue to refine those numbers and look for other parts of the business where there could be potential savings. Perhaps we don't, if we have gaps looking to recruit new staff at a particular point in time, we may defer that by 3, 6, 8 months or whatever into the financial year to get us over that hump. But so there are some things that we can do internally.
And just to add, if council wanted us to, go hunting in another area, any sort of major change where we are now would essentially be a new audit. That would mean that we would be unlikely to make that 30 June target. But what there is in the legislation, if our councils do not meet that target, we can still send out a rates bill, and it's based on this year's rates. What that means is any rates increase you approve ultimately is spread over the remaining 3 payments, so that can put a really good financial pressure on our community. Queenstown's done that a few times, so there is that option. If councils today would really like, we have started at this 14%. You could direct us to go find savings. We would talk to Audit New Zealand. At this point, we'll probably stop with audit. But if it's just a, hey, go away and see what you can find, and we see where we end up, and as it might be that there would be more audit requirements, so we wouldn't know much or see what that was like.
And I feel like this time last year, we asked you to go away and find savings. And I have a confidence that everything was gone through with a fine-tooth comb, and we said to our community this time last year that the long-term plan would be the time when we have the conversation about our levels of service, because there is a cost to providing what we provide to the community, and some of those costs are outside of our control. As much as I'm confident that the team will continue to look for savings in the interim, I don't think they are going to magic up a 5% reduction unless we say we're not going to do something.
And just to add, the numbers that we see now are the third options or model. So the foods are currently, for example, in. So after hearing from the community, that was something that this taken through the deliberations process, or actually no, we don't think so. That would be that 1%. The other examples in that consultation documents. So that just in terms of your earlier comment, councillor, so that the third options are all what we think 100%. So you could decide to give those ones.
Neil, did you have something?
Yeah, I've got a quick question of Saskia first, and then I'll just sort of pick up what Tracy was talking about, what you just talking about. So we've got a 2.4% increase to the last time we talked about this, and you said so much was from the hiccup with the spreadsheets, and the other is from the water contract. What was that?
About 1.5%.
Yeah, is the hiccup.
No, it's about the new
Off water. Yep.
1% was the
Right. Okay. So yeah, in the scheme of things, you would have had 1.4 anyway, the water contract, so that would have come through eventually. So picking up what Tracy was saying, I think the most important thing about this is that we have been working hard towards trying to make sure that we do what is right for the community. And this year, no more so than any other year in the past, I think this is the chance for the community to come back and say, well, what levels of service do you want to change? Because effectively all we're doing here is largely providing you with the same as what you've had in the past. And it's going to take a level of service decrease to get significant savings. Yes, take on point, we're consulting quite rightly, I think, on some stuff that is what you probably call discretionary, that's about 1%. And it's really important the community have their say, because they might think it's really important, they might not. But if you don't put something that you're going to consult on to hear what people say, then what's the point? And while I've had a couple of people in the last few days say to me, wouldn't it be much better if you could just make the decision? I said, hell yeah, it would be. But that's not the process. And in some ways that's good. In some ways it's not good, but it is what it is. So I think that I'm confident that there's probably savings out there, but they're going to have to largely come about from from a reduction in the level of service, or some of the discretionary stuff that we're consulting on, we will not do. And more importantly, there might be some stuff that we just take for granted, because that's what you do when you've been doing it for long enough, that the community might say, it's time to stop doing that. And I don't know what that's going to be. And I really hope they take the opportunity to speak up and tell us. And we take it from there. It is what it is. And it's so, we get a chance at this table to control it to some extent. Then we've got a community that needs to make sure they really do come back and what's the word, engage to tell us what they think, so we can make a final decision. But guess what? A lot of things will be wrong anyway. But it is what it is. Thank you.
And I think it's on us to be attending these drop-in sessions and having these conversations and encouraging people to submit, because if we get 300 submissions on this long-term plan, it's going to be very difficult for us to say we've got an accurate reflection of what the community wants to pay for and what they don't want to pay for. And I'm really hopeful that the enthusiasm that we're hearing around our towns and communities and at the pub and in the supermarket is going to translate into submissions that we can bring to this table and use those to inform our best decisions, because this is going to be very difficult for a number of our ratepayers who are coming off the back of a substantial increase last year and not looking like a reduction in any of their other bills coming into the house as well. And for people on fixed incomes and low wages, this just makes life that much more difficult. But other joyous things we provide, like playgrounds and pools and turfs, something that they are prepared to chip in on, recognising that sometimes when you go to pay for stuff, there's not that much joy in handing over your money. Anybody got any other questions or comments for the team? Happy to go around the table if you want to. If you want to make a, were you going to say something, Nigel, please?
I've got a question about a detail on populated rather than the more global rates. On page 108, have we got time with us?
Yeah.
Page 108 it's given table 12, a 5-yearly breakdown of population and household forecasts. And when I look at Cromwell, it says in 2024 there's an estimated population of 7,273. And yet I've seen population reports, again from Rationale, that say that if you look at the population of Cromwell Basin, it is somewhere between 11,000 and 11,500 people. So when I look at those, so my question is, when you look at Cromwell, and the Cromwell Basin essentially is Cromwell, so that's the only town. Where are the other 3,500 people?
And I suspect that that number is only Cromwell town, and it doesn't include Terrace, Bannockburn, and potentially.
That's what I suspect.
That is correct. Yep.
So are they in the other thing, the last one, which is other?
Correct. Yep. So what we're showing there is the SA2 areas, I believe, which is just the Cromwell town, and it doesn't probably include Pisa, Lowburn, Bannockburn, all the others. Pisa.
Neil already answered the question, so I didn't see the other.
No, I was guessing, Nigel.
I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you.
Sally, is there anything you would like?
Yeah, so I think my comment is I'm sort of on board with what Tracy said before, and that it is unfortunate that we've found an error, but when we met in December, we sort of had a vision that we were looking at around 11% increase, and that's all of a sudden jumped up to 14. So I think that is quite significant, adding another 2.4% onto rates, because we've picked up an error internally. So, because I know people are doing it hard, and we had a bigger rates increase last year. So I think it is significant.
Significance and understanding. I think it's when we sat there in December and talked about type of things and depreciation things got to go and let's make some good decisions. I feel like we've undermined it quite a bit, you know, that we are, we're taking money out of things for the future and that take money out of depreciation. So we're kind of double-edged sword now, aren't we? And 15% or whatever that's going to, that's unpayable for some people. And it's not just a case of, do you close a swimming pool then, Alex? If it's the outdoor pool and it's okay, like we need to be looking bigger than that. So this isn't sustainable. And it's great that you found it, but I've only been here once and I've heard that more than once, so it's a user error and it was just a human error mistake and that's understandable. But when it's the difference between a fair few $100s on a household bill every year, year after year after year, that you're not expecting that, I think that's, we've got to, then we need more robust processes in place there to stop these things coming up when we say, well, you know, we are all sorry. You know, nobody would ever do any of that on purpose. We're aware of that, but if we're skating so thin that one member of staff leaving is going to do this, we need to have a look at the organisation and make sure that we've got a backstop there, because that's more than once this has happened in my time, and I'd like to not see that again. I don't feel like I can stand up and say, no, we've got a good eye over everything, you know, the governance is good, such good. I think the staff do a great job. You guys all do your best and do it, but if that's the tipping point and we haven't got enough people to do this effectively, we're in big trouble.
Nigel?
Yeah, I agree with what Neil said before. We do need to go to the community and consult, but what worries me about the LPP process is we go out and consult with the community and we, I believe, create in the community the impression that if enough people choose, tick a certain box and choose a certain course of action over what they're being asked to show a preference for, they believe that that is what will happen, whereas what we know is that what we consult with the community and then we say, oh, that is just one strand, that is just one voice that will go in to making up what our decision will be on a particular matter. And so I think we risk, in the way that LTP document is presented, and giving people a false sense that what they say, if there's a big enough majority, is what will be, when in fact it isn't. And beyond that, I agree with what Sarah said, that we have a responsibility as a governance group to pull back the rate increase. What we're looking at the moment is not sustainable. And I know the 10-year or 9-year plan will show that rate increases will go down, but at the end of the day, it's down to the group around this table to look at, and we know that level of service is probably the only area you can make substantive savings that would have any impact. And we could stop with the community as much as we like, but the buck stops with us at the end of the day. And I believe that if you go on facing this level of increase in rate increases, then we're going to have to make some hard decisions about level of service and something like that.
Thank you, Nigel. Kieran?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can really add to what Sarah and Nigel have already said, other than I totally agree. It is not sustainable to continue to have these rate increases. And so something it's got to be something has to change. There's got to be, and I know that our community still have their bylaws, but they, for whatever reason, they don't seem to really understand the significance of these increases on those that actually simply can't afford them. And it's, so therefore, I mean, maybe we have to look at the cost and passing some of that back onto individual ratepayers if they want to use those facilities. I don't know, I'm just going to put the pools. You all want their kids to be able to swim, but maybe they just are going to have to pay more for that service. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but you can't keep putting the rates the way we are currently doing. It's not sustainable. Ben.
Yeah, it's Chair, so just having a look at, avenues of service going forward is probably going to be important, and perhaps if that's used paid for some things, or increasing the element of use of those, it's what we need to look at.
Daniel?
Well, it's been the station, isn't it? It's been the station that we have to put these rate increases on rate path, and it's not just us, it's countrywide. And a lot of it's been influenced by central government. But I feel like when we go back to the start, line by line. Just put the difference with that.
Let's see why that's the thing.
Well, our job, and I've said this before, is to be like Santa Claus, and the bag's got what's in it. We've got to deliver on behalf of the ratepayers the true cost of doing business. People are shifting to Central Otago greater than ever before, knowing they're going to pay rates probably less than where they pay in the region they're in. We've got new playgrounds, we've got new water systems, we've got new roads, we've got new bridges, and I've just been through the middle of North Island where they haven't. And if you want to end up like that for 2 or 3% extra in your rates over a lifetime, got a new town nearly in Cromwell, and a new port. Everything we've got in Central Otago is nearly new. Our job is to deliver those systems. And I've been, believe it or not, probably ingrained in our community more in the last month when we talk about halls and meet all people in public shows. And I've said to them, do you think money is the issue? If we get something for the rate increases, we're happy. Well, you're getting a lot. If you're going to snivel over 2 or 3% over a lifetime in the community, the reason I came here is because probably our previous councils have underinvested and we're having catch up. But that's the reason they're coming here, because of its iconicness, because of its heritage, its history. It's going to be one of the fastest growing regions in New Zealand, and we're sniveling over 2 or 3% of actual work that is going to make a difference in the community. So I'm in the, if you want to grow grass, put the sprinkler on your garden, we want to get the best vegetables at the show, put the water on. And it is a cost. But the properties in Ranfurly, some of the houses we've got purchased in the building here a while ago have doubled in the last 2 or 3 years. And the rates have gone up. Compared to other regions, we're getting far more bang for our buck. So I don't think we want to start kicking stones down the road, heads down, thinking we've done a terrible job. I think we've done a fantastic job. But it's a reflection of the cost of doing business at the moment. Whether it's technology and these things will come along, the old days you get an envelope, $1.20, posted to the Wedderburn store, very big, would pick them up, go to a meeting. Now it's $300,000 or $400,000, so we have a technology. Used to be an envelope, a brown envelope. If you're lucky, you got to read it about an hour before we went to the meeting. And it's changed. How? But there's businesses that have got that too. That's just the cost of it. That's nothing we can control. The value of the power that comes in the room. Wages are gone. We've got to attract people, we've got to attract staff. We've now got an opportunity to attract lots, 700 or 800 extra people to our region every year. Big pick of this. So I think it's just a reflection of everyone's business. And that's when we start cutting services and cutting this, we're actually achieving nothing. Sure, we've got a lot of historic parks and we've got historic roads and we've got too many roads and all that, but that's what people are coming for. And if you're going to come out of somewhere else and you live here, you're going to have to pay for it in your rates. And we're growing as fast as any other region or faster than anyone. So I don't see it as an issue. I think, unfortunately, no one wants to pay extra. But the elderly people I've been to in the Ningatoto in the last month are happy to pay the increases if they get something. They're not happy to pay, because what you cut services out, your rates will stay the same. And you're going to be paying the same rates for less service. Our communities are blessed with the goodness we've got in our people, our services, and our council. And so it always looks at, and their other bills will be going up, their food bills, everything. I get that. Every business is. But I just think we've got to be very careful. The 2 or 3% we beat ourselves up about when it's actually a reflection of the cost of living in Central Otago. Tracy lives in Omakau, the most isolated inland spot of New Zealand. So services have to travel in, and they have to travel out everything. The power, water, the pipe we put in the ground. So we don't get the benefit of being so important and cheaper. It's a cost. And we just have to be like Santa Claus. We've got the bag, of what you want, and all the kids have got older, so the toys don't maybe suit. We just deliver the cost of doing council business. And it's going up. So we make it fair and equitable for the region. That's what we do.
Stu. Neil, that's a tough act to follow.
He's right.
Stop. That's the worst thing we could do.
The court, two things. Cheryl talked about the user costs, and unfortunately, in my view, it's an option. But the reality is the same people that are going to struggle to pay the rates are going to struggle to pay that as well. So we're just same people all the time. And I think also there's a bit of a fallacy out there. Everybody today is on fixed income of some description, and you all live according to your means. So while we think that just because someone's older, retired, got more money, no kids at home, whatever, can afford it, well, actually they probably can't. They're going to have to cut stuff. You know, they're going to cut discretionary stuff that's different for someone else, all those things, but it does have a true effect on everybody in some way, shape or form on their quality of life and what they do and what they don't do. And what Stu said that did strike a chord with me is that, you know, if we cut services, the rates won't go up. We pay the same for less. What's the difference? Because that's what's actually happening. You're paying the same for less. So your rates did go up because now you don't have this. So you're sitting there going, what do I do? You know, when fuel goes up, what do? You not travel as much? I don't think so. Try and find a way to make it happen. This is tough. This is a tough gig that we're pardoned to do, but that's what you've got to do. The really key thing is that we've done some really great engagement in years gone by, and it's getting better and better. And I'm looking forward to a community that's going to engage again and tell us. And it's not a popularity contest. It's not a vote. It's to try and understand what the issues are. And when people tell us, then we have the job then to say, right, now, having heard that, what are we going to do? And if people tell us that they don't want the rates rise, but don't tell us what else they don't want to have, then you're going to get what you're going to get. Because there ain't no magic sack of money anywhere.
Thank you all. Any final questions? And I'll wrap it up. Well, a quote from Stu. Our communities are blessed, and this will be a tough time for many, but we are blessed. So we'll go out with our consultation document once it comes through to us next month, and we will talk to our communities, and we will encourage them to submit their thoughts and views and ideas and suggestions, and then we will come back to this table and we will make the best decision that we can for the people of today and the people of the future.
And guess what? It'll be different when it comes back. There'll be some changes. There'll be stuff found. This work is not finished.
Okay.
You know,
The moving
just hope that it's the other way.
Yeah, and I think you're really right too about the perception of community doesn't want to lose things because they do feel robbed when they pay the same money and they get less. They don't want that either.
I will tell you here's some stuff
Yeah.
actually lost.
Yeah.
This process.
Yeah, quite.
Thank you for your work, team. We do appreciate you on that. You want to say something else, Nick?
No, I was ready.
Okay, I was happy to move the recommendations that are on page 10. We're going to receive the report and accept the level of significance. Note that amendments have been made to the consultation document, financial model and statements and development and financial contributions policy, and agree that audit continue with these updated documents. Can I have seconded, please? Thank you, Neil. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We are now going to the date of the next meeting. Timeline, can you write it in here for me?
That was for a miss, because I put it on the order of this one this morning. The 26th of Feb.
26th of Feb will be our next meeting. That will be the end of the formal meeting, but for all those dozens of people that are no doubt watching online, waiting to hear when we're going to be talking about the Roxburgh Entertainment Centre, that is coming up next, and the link will remain live, so you can stay online for that.
You're not here on the 26th.
So,
You're not here on the 26th. Thanks.
Have a nice day.
Oh dear.
So you can go to your surgery.
No, I'm not going to let me exam surgery. I'm going to 11 o'clock next month.
Welcome Gareth and David, and also to Mark and Norm, who have joined us from the Roxburgh Community Board.
Sorry.
Actually, on a stand, I think it's a lot better when I'm talking to the screen. I can show you exactly what's going on. So last week Thursday, the fire started in the entertainment centre. From the reports, it was generally in that direction over there. And it basically jumped through that fire cell, moved along the building. As it activates in the seating space, which is like tinder, you can imagine all that all wood. It just goes from the term wildfire and just takes the entire building. The fire department, because of limited access and with these other buildings we're trying to protect, they ended up having to come in with an excavator, push walls down, and then pull the rubble onto some of the burning stuff to actually suppress the fire. Those of us on site will vouch for the fact that it was extremely smoky and extremely upsetting while the other things sitting there. So I've got an engineer's report. I'm going to talk through it because that's the easiest way I can do it. And we're talking layman's terms. So stop me if you need me to explain something and I'll have to do that. This structure standing there, the shell, is basically in a stable condition. The main support structures that are actually holding it in place are the two H-frames. And then there is some stabilising there from the earthquake strengthening that was done a couple of years prior. If you start messing with them, that's when we start getting walls that are going to get compromised. So this wall along this side is actually bone, and they're a little bit worried about it falling and hitting into the hotel. So there's a couple of proposals that are in place, right? Proposal, and I say the statement, it is the easiest, safest, and quickest way to do this is to demolish the entire site. That'll then clean up all the debris, take out all the real foul smells, and you'll be left with a site that you can actually work with in the future from a land point of view, right? The second option is to retain the facade, and Wayne, I might get you to jump a picture now. I think go to those engineering ones that I put up.
What?
Yeah. So in order to retain this, they would have to start the demolition process from the back side and move their way forward. It's quite slow, as you can imagine. You're trying to retain walls so that you don't compromise this. So they basically nibble it all away. They then get into this structure. Now this wall from their photographs, all the assessments are done by photographs, right? Shows quite a bit of compromise. This will have to be nibbled out, and then carefully the debris would have to be pulled back in order to retain these sections to keep the stable in place. All the photographs, as you can see, the debris from the roof that's collapsed in here has been above you. We cannot see what's below. But what I can tell you from our previous dealing with this hall is that we were having, there's no concrete for you, and we were having water trapped up in the walls over the years, and we would have to repaint and repaint and repaint. So a lot of moisture was getting into the bottom foundations. So that tells me, and with a fire, we're probably sitting in a situation where we might not be able to save this facade. In trying to keep the facade, it is quite expensive. There's another picture there, Wayne, a shoring effect that we have to go into the bottom. I think it's the bottom one. The third picture that I sent you. Next one.
There's only two on that one.
There's 3 pictures in one. No,
No.
yes.
So you do.
So just, well, while this is up, you can actually see that the lintels actually caught fire. Some of them burnt out completely, and the entire floor released. Right, so there's going to be extensive damage to this. It's going to be really difficult.
in one way is looking, the front piece, the facade
Oh, this one?
is actually veneer.
That one? No.
If you scroll, go down there, there we go. So this is what we call shoring, and this is to support the northern wall. This is where the hotel is on this side. You can see what it looks like. It's quite an elaborate piece of equipment. Once they start demoing and this has to come into place, this could remain in place for up to 18 months while we design and look in how we're going to reach the trip there beside. It's going to be bloody costly, right? Very time consuming, and as much as I'd say to you, I'd love to say good architecture, their facade, even though it's quite old, is only brick veneer onto concrete base. So if you go back to the debris, because I actually want to explain it, this is going to go, we've got two sets of proposals. This will be fine. There was asbestos in the site as well, right? It's limited and contained within the site. So we had all the grounds tested from the Early Learning Centre, the police station, all that stuff, all came back negative. So nothing was spread over. But this is classed as the dirty site because of all the soot and the asbestos. We have got a team that's going to be working with us to actually test, mobile testing as we're going through this, because the price difference in dumping this at Victoria Flats Pavilion to dumping it locally is 600,000 over to 300,000. So that's the amount of tonnage that's going to be in place. The full demo does cost, from a weight point of view, a little bit more, because you can imagine all the concrete and the bricks that are going to be going with it. However, if we peel this whole system back and we do it nice and slowly and spend all this money, we might end up dropping it anyway, because of the fact that we can't actually tell what's underneath and has it been compromised too much. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Now I've got engineers reports, I've got figures, we've got quotes. We're trying to be as safe as we possibly can. Anyone see the ADT front page with 3 wonderful people standing inside the cordon taking their photograph, right? So people are just not adhering to the safety in doing whatever they want. I ended up employing security because I was worried someone would try and take the top off. During the salvage, we have got a surety that we will be selling the ship. It's about the only one I can really give you.
When's insurance stepping forward with us?
So there'll be lots of meetings with the insurance. So we went with the main loss adjusters yesterday, and they're going to work through and they're going to do, because the last actual valuation was done in 2022, there will be inflation associated. So not saying we're going to get a lot more, we might get a little bit more, right? The real sad thing is, like, in the last couple of months, we just dropped $500,000, you know, a whole lot of repairs to this building, and it just went up in smoke. But we shipped 6.4 million. The longer we take to remediate this, the more we farming into that money. Right? So the quicker we get it done, that's the money that will be left with at the end of the day. The insurance company is working with us to say they might just do a lump sum payout. You know, it all depends. So we'll work with them, and I'll keep you guys updated as we go along that process.
You mentioned the other day when we caught up about concern about damage to the outer roads.
Yeah.
Heavy traffic being redirected as well.
So because we closed one part of the highway, we diverted heavy traffic that was going around the outside area. Peter was there yesterday, was it, Peter? The road is ripped up. Those roads are not designed to handle the heavy traffic. So we are working at the moment to try and reduce the cordon. I did send you that photo, Wayne, if you can bring that one up, and I can just explain that.
And also I've had feedback from that many hotels that the trucks are really struggling to get around those corners.
Yeah.
It's so tight.
Yeah. So the risk of the facade going will splash over the highway. So we're going to have water barriers put in over there, and the security fencing in as well, and that will allow the highway to reopen. We've been working around the clock trying to get that CMP approved. It has to be approved by NZTA, and it should hopefully be done today. the water barriers will only be available next week Tuesday. So what we're asking them is, will they accept the fact that we've just got security fencing there in the meantime until Tuesday? We're just waiting for an answer. So the quicker we can get that cordon open, we can actually get the traffic flowing along the highway, which is designed to carry that weight.
Now we just stop by the government.
Yeah. I would have thought with NZTA that would be a matter of priority and the decision will be available in an hour. Doesn't take till next Tuesday.
So the amount of calls I got from the guy from NZTA, I can tell you he's a bulldog all day. And so he wants this action pretty damn quickly, but when I threw the safety incident to him, saying this is an unknown factor, do you want to take responsibility? The answer was no. So we're working together to get this thing safe solution.
I'm sure you are, but if bureaucracy in the road of this, then someone needs to be held to account by whoever it needs to be to say, fix it now.
Yeah,
Like, because they've got the power. It's the same as what the fire brigade can do and go and close that tomorrow.
they have, however,
Now, sorry.
yeah, we have been waiting on a lot of information because there have been so many unknown factors in this place.
So
So
is object type to keep the facade, or is it, we're not making that decision?
it's actually an operational decision, so it's up to Peter to make the.
So, the staff view, based on all the information we have, is that we should remove the debris bring the whole building down, start with a clean coal site for whatever designs the community wants. I keep thinking in the back of my mind, Wellington Town Hall, Christchurch Cathedral, when we start securing the unknown, what that does.
Architecturally, if you had a clear site,
We could rebuild
that's
it,
a reasonably simple facade to replicate.
and we could rebuild it much stronger, better foundations, future proof.
Should we choose to replicate it. The other thing is that, the longer we take to secure that sidewall, there is, also, it's impacting on the business next door, so, there's that to consider as well.
So Anne Marie has said she's got bookings that need to take place on the 25th, which is next week. She desperately wants to reoccupy the hotel. I'll blame her, it's a business. If we go with a full site demolition, we're probably looking about 5 days in the best case scenario, whereas we're looking at weeks and weeks if we don't. The full one.
What about other neighbours? Is there any other risks for other neighbours?
So the longer we leave the site and not make decisions, which we have actually, so we've started cleaning up the site now. All these guys are getting full of, every time the wind blows, there's a hell of a prevailing wind that goes through there. They're full of soot, but the asbestos is contained, that's fine.
We have also got it cordoned off over by the Catholic Church in that courtyard where you can see that red dotted line, so just in case that wall came down, so it is impacting on their site as well.
So when will someone make the decision to put it over? Straight after this meeting?
On that point, I wondered if Norm, would you like to make any comment, share any views?
I guess looking forward is where the community is and understanding at the level of devastation. Although what we all would like to retain the facade, understand completely. But it's just not possible. Having dealt with our buildings myself and owned them. The common sense prevails, I think. Yeah. And while it's an emotional, I guess an emotional value that the building itself is gone, the facade is just a facade. The heart is still that runs through the Scotland Street. And the sooner that we make it safe for people,
And I think,
we can move on.
I think as well, we could do everything to save it and then it could still not be savable. And then that's also irresponsible because we've spent a whole lot of money trying to do that we then can't get into the next project.
Are any of the bricks valuable? Could you reuse any?
Huge, and I'll tell you one thing, it's one of the best contractors I've ever worked with.
It's good.
They've been absolutely exceptional, and they will do whatever they can to help us out. So we say keep a couple of bricks, we said made a suggestion, if there needs to be building, it's a pleasure, I'm sure they'll make it. And he's even thinking at the moment, because you started the site, you know, he's thinking through all the steel and the tin, so they'll go to a scrap metal dealer. And he's saving a bit of money. He's gonna bill us for that. We're gonna pay him for that. He's gonna donate that back to the therapy. Right, this guy's been really exceptional. And, then he'll start picking through the bricks and the more concrete. Because obviously dumping that is hard for, not taking all that through the meter would be a lot cheaper.
I think Josh was also going to try and uncover some of the old fiction, but we've got to look at the stored.
If it's hot, if it's hot.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's unlikely to have survived. It'll just be a case. Case. Yeah. And yeah, I just progress is going to be.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Comments? Finley?
Foundations, so particularly.
Yeah. So does it have to go to town to get done? They can't find a farmer to bear it?
Maybe.
Well, that happened in Osborne Ranford.
Yeah.
They filled up a gully with the cane on pods went through, the farmer's got had to take it. This stuff went to the landfill where it needs to go, and the bricks and steel just concrete went into a gully.
So Brent's just given me an update in all this testing for asbestos is in one isolated spot. So it looks like we got pretty lucky in that facility.
Yeah, and sure there's a hole over there somewhere. Instead of having to take 300,000 on it, cost you 150,000. It's return on investment to live again.
And I'd just like to note too, massive thanks to Brent. There's been feedback from the parish. They are very happy with the communication that they have had from council and the efforts to keep them included and informed along the way. So I think you guys have done a great job down there with the community, which includes the neighbours most impacted.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the update.
So we'll go ahead and demolish the site.
So, when we're talking about demolishing the site, clearing the site, is one of the biggest questions around the potential rebuild. When I say it's potential, because we need to understand what it's going to cost and what it's going to look like all this. How is all that going to be, I guess, ring fenced in terms of the, I guess, you look at insurance to be the payer, at the moment you're talking 6.4 million. Is that going to be caught up in fiscalisation and all that process?
So you're all you put your PST list, insurance will only pay that out if you rebuild. So it's isolated, ring fenced for that specific.
Yeah. Yes.
And North, just the quote, I mean, obviously, we're going through this over out in Omica at the moment, not rebuilding, obviously, building a whole new one.
Yeah.
But the work that's gone, I'm sure that the team around there in relation to the collaboration between essentially the community and council and the savings that have been made, thinks that would be someone, I think we could talk to that team because what we're going to be building out here, 1,000, I don't know how big this was, but.
So 1,100 squares.
So the new home car house, the 1,000 in that. So roughly similar size, but the collaboration and it's pretty widely known that we'll be well underneath that 6.4 million. So I'm just saying that there might be some learnings that's already happened through council and that group that you guys can just tap straight into.
I guess the other thing of interest as well is our entertainment centre committee. We've met the other night and we're aiming to show movies in an alternative location to keep that I guess that spirit go. On the 28th of March, we hope to our next meeting. Where, I'm not sure. It would, but I'm not sure, but we're going out there to.
Get up to the hydro. Go up there.
Stay running. It could be on a number of locations.
What's the movie gonna be?
Jaws.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Thank you. And the only other thing, sorry, that we wanted to touch on was the community facilities that are available in the Teviot Valley while we rebuild whatever that be. And the, I guess, understanding, enthusiasm, direction from this council that Miller's Flat Hall will be retained and potentially not on the table for divestment at this time, recognising that that's the most appropriate spot for that community to access a facility where they can meet, gather, hold 21st weddings, funerals, baptisms, whatever you need.
Yeah, and I mentioned to Tamer after the fire last Friday, it would be really great if we could actually not have it in the consultation document, but unfortunately that's already gone to audit, so. It would be really nice if we could just reassure our community that we are going to keep hold of that hall and that we don't have people over the next 3 or 4 months kind of quibbling over whether the Miller's Flat Hall is going to be divested or not, that they can actually put, our community can put their passion and their focus on what we do next in Roxburgh without having to worry about what's happening at Miller's Flat.
But they'll still want to consult on the long-term plan.
But they'll still want to, yeah, they'll still want to consult. Yeah, but I just would like to kind of be able to give some reassurance if I can.
We can, yeah.
It would be incredibly difficult. The numbers are already done. The document's already gone to audit. So we can have a conversation with our community and suggest that they not focus on that as their submission. And I'm anticipating that potentially the Teviot Valley Community Board might like to lead that aspect.
But it won't make it many odds because if the submissions come in to say, don't do it, the numbers are still going to be worked through anyway. But just timing.
Yeah.
And you're right, so it's unfortunate, but it's the hall's going to be replaced, and it would be a logical decision to make as part of the consultation process to say, well, we've got the new one up and running. This is not going anywhere, and we'll make the change. Yeah, well, in my view, you could consult on the fact that you were going to do it. Now you're not because of something else that's happened. Yeah. The end result's the most important.
Will and MJ's working on this, we'll be putting out a media release pretty shortly about the entertainment centre. We can make mention of Miller's Flat or and that part of the media release as well. We will just now.
Yeah.
Well, so can I just say one thing? What I would like to see is a statement that says we're going to retain the Miller's Flat Hall pending the solution for Roxburgh, which might take 3 or 4 years, which then sort of has the sword down piece hanging for 4 years until Roxburgh's fixed. That's not sort of answering the community with why.
But
I think it would come back as another conversation. Maybe.
yeah, but if it comes back in the conversation that the community want to retain the Miller's Flat Hall period, it just stays back on where it is.
Yeah.
So that'll be exactly what I would expect will happen. It comes to the table here saying the community Miller's Flat and the Teviot Valley wish to retain the Miller's Flat Hall.
Well, that's definitely what they want to do.
Yeah, so it'll come through the process and it'll just sign it off another 100 years. So it'll be fine.
Community board's already said that's what the community want. So
So that's how I say it.
The key thing is it's never a given that any of the halls that are up for being disposed of are definitely going to happen yet because they haven't made that final decision. So
yeah.
And now the Miller's Flat Hall looks like it might get a reprieve.
Quick note, Darren and I discussed the other day, that, once we've got a nice clean, flat site, we might even look at maybe purchasing a really big marquee. It'll be housed in stored in all these, so that at least they've got somewhere to go, on them and so on, or maybe we need to trust the movies.
Until we start building, until we.
While I agree with everything that's been said, the only thing that's rattling around in the back of my brain is the accusation from the community, and I know these are exceptional circumstances, that we are predetermined. And that is my only, I'm making a decision. And that would be my own, and look, I support it, but I'm just a
Is
little.
that the decision on Roxburgh or?
That would be the decision on this flat. There's a predetermination that we're potentially making, and that would be my only reservation.
Why we're not, though, we're waiting to come to consultation document, because it'll tell us what we already know, I guess.
Yes, and I have
Or do we
heard
hope?
residents from
Well,
down that way, and they are 100% going to be fighting. The words were, we're fighting for our fall, so I respect that fully. But we just have to be careful that we're not predetermined. So
It's unfortunate that people take, because you're putting something out for consultation, you make your mind up, because that's not the case. You know, if we didn't have to consult, it'd be much easier in that respect. But people unfortunately take the view that because we've said we're thinking of doing this, therefore we've made our mind up, when we actually haven't, we're not allowed to. That's the whole idea of the process. So, you know, people should be assured that saying, just because you've proposed something through a long-term plan or annual plan, doesn't mean you are predetermined. It means you're saying, this is what we're going to consult on. You tell us what you think, and we'll make a call. Just because we make the call doesn't support what you say, doesn't mean to say we're predetermined. We listened, you didn't get your own way, it happens.
The only law we keep, it's really,
Wonderful, thank you very much.
And fires all around the
Right.
place.
That would be the end of our meeting. Peter, if you would like to leave.
Yeah.
out here.
I will. Whakatakata hau ki te uru, whakatakata hau ki te tonga kia mā kina ke uta kia mā taratara ki ta ihi aki ana te atakura, te tio, re puka, i hauhu ti hei Māori o. Kia ora.
Thank you.